This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
Next on the 5 o'clock report.
Looks like tonight will be another frosty night.
They get close, and then a new group of people come in. They don't know who their leaders are.
No more billionaires! You have to go back and get to the root of the problem.
Now, let's go to the newsroom.
May take a while to warm up. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Mark Webster. The first day of May feeling suspiciously like March or April. Cool, damp, and another night of freeze warnings and frost advisories ahead for parts of Pennsylvania and upstate New York, kicking off a very chilly weekend.
Looks like tonight will be another frosty night with temperatures back into the 30s. The coldest night right now looks like it's going to be Saturday night. Temperatures likely dropping down to near freezing with even some 20s inland from the lakes.
Tony and Sweeney with the National Weather Service. Much of next week will be unseasonably cool as well. Meteorologist Kevin Williams has the forecast for your area during this newscast. Our other big story this afternoon, keep talking or start shooting again. Some parting shots from President Trump this afternoon before jetting off to Florida for the weekend. A gaggle of reporters at the White House asking about the situation with Iran.
I mean, do we want to go and just blast them and finish him forever, or do we want to try and make a deal? I mean, those are the options.
Iran has offered up a new peace proposal, but Trump says trying to negotiate with the Iranians has been very frustrating.
We've been dealing with Iran. They want to make a deal. They're not there. They're not with it. They're sort of, they get close, and then a new group of people come in. They don't know who their leaders are.
Trump huddled with the head of CENTCOM this week, and Israeli officials say it's appearing increasingly likely to them that hostilities could resume soon. Between dragged-out talks and renewing the fight, retired General Jack Keane tells Fox News he knows which option he'd choose.
Option one is return and finish what we started. We spent 3 weeks here trying to work something out with these guys. We have assigned objectives, so does Israel. We're 2 weeks short of accomplishing that. Let's go finish that once and for all. Complete that mission.
Keane says there's no way the U.S. can allow Iran to end up with control of the Strait of Hormuz. During his minutes with that gaggle of White House reporters, Trump also didn't rule out a bailout of Spirit Airlines, but nor did he make it sound likely. What is apparently likely is that the failing discount carrier may ground to a halt as soon as tomorrow.
Spirit had been talking with the Trump administration about a $500 million aid package, but the airline's bondholders balked at the proposal, and the airline is running out of cash. It's $5 billion in the red. The recent surge in jet fuel prices because of the war in Iran hasn't helped.
CBS's Michael Wallace, who says those holding Spirit Airlines tickets will likely have to work with their credit card companies to arrange any refunds.
No more billionaires!
Protesters in North Carolina, one of many states that are seeing May Day protests today. In Chicago, schools bussed students to take part in the protest after class, where the Windy City's Democratic Mayor Brendan Johnson was among the speakers.
Do not let anyone take your power away from you as young people.
Some of the protests were bankrolled by the group called Organized Power in Numbers, calling for citywide economic blackouts. May Day has come to be associated with International Workers' Day, often commemorated with big celebrations in socialist and communist-controlled countries. Camp Mystic, where 27 kids and counselors died last year, will not reopen this summer after all, voluntarily offering to stay closed after a first draft of their license application was rejected. Though Eddie Walker with the Christian Camp and Conference Association says
it's 100% not unique at all. It's been almost universal. I really don't want to throw them under the bus. You know, they outsourced those evaluations initially, and they grilled that back in-house. When I saw news on Mystic, been a little frustrated as the camp director because I know they're getting the exact same thing that we've all received.
Texas officials continue to investigate Camp Mystic, where 27 campers and counselors died in a flash flood on July 4th last year. Health news for you next. We spend roughly a third of our lives doing it, and not doing it well can be hazardous to your health. We're talking sleep, and a new health survey indicates more and more Americans are using drugs, including marijuana, to try to get to sleep. Dr. Joe Galati says any drug, even popular over-the-counter sleep aids such as melatonin, don't get to the core issue.
You have to go back and dissect and get to the root of the problem, which is why the availability of all of these over-the-counter agents are strictly a Band-Aid to a deeper problem.
Dr. Galati says there could be many many things behind the poor sleep issues.
Is it screen time? Is it the fact that you have sleep apnea? Is it the fact that you're eating too late? Are there other issues like restless leg syndrome? Are you anxious?
The doctor says the bottom line is that sleep is vital to your health.
Getting sleep in the number of hours you need, 7 or more hours, is going to be a very good start in trying to address the chronic disease, which really is creating a lot of serious illness for a lot of people.
Galati says one positive sleep aid is just ending your screen time 2 hours before bedtime. Still to come here on the 5 o'clock report, a recap of our top regional stories for you and highlights from today's Capital Connection. Checking the stories making news where you live across New York and Pennsylvania. A scare at the SUNY Erie downtown Buffalo campus this morning, which went into lockdown after a caller reported that a person with a gun had been seen on the 5th floor of the building. The campus went into lockdown mode, students and staff immediately sheltering in place. SUNY Erie's president says law enforcement arrived quickly, escorting those sheltering in place out of the building. Then they did a big sweep of the campus, which did not turn up any armed individuals. The CDC says emergency room visits for tick bites are higher than usual this year. Rebecca Roll with Lyme, Western New York, says ticks don't care whether you're in the city or the country.
Ticks don't know borders. They don't know that they've left the woods. They don't know that they've, hopped onto a rodent and now they're in an urban setting. It's everywhere.
She tells WIVB you need to check yourself carefully for ticks anytime you've been outside because those tick bites can cause serious illness like Lyme disease.
A tick can be the size of a period at the end of a sentence. So it's a lot of times people don't see them. So really do a thorough tick check every single time after coming indoors. Make sure that you're using preventative sprays on your skin. We typically recommend a product called Sawyer that has picaridin or permethrin on your gear.
Roll says while some people with Lyme disease will develop a rash, others will not. Without treatment, Lyme disease can lead to some serious health complications. Well, there's some good news out of PA. Drought conditions appear to be continuing to improve across the Keystone State. The latest update from the U.S. Drought Monitor shows no drought conditions currently present in nearly 2/3 of Pennsylvania, including the Pittsburgh region. Eastern portions of the state do continue to have abnormally dry, moderate, and in a few cases, severe drought conditions. Well, chilly or not, Rochester, New York is gearing up to hold its 20th annual Clean Sweep tomorrow. Here's a preview from Family Life's Bob Price.
Yeah, Mark, residents are urged to pitch in and help spruce up their neighborhoods. Last year, a record number of volunteers took part. Participants are asked to arrive at the Rochester Red Wings baseball stadium at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Following a light breakfast, work crews will fan out across the Flower City and take part in spring cleaning operations. At the end of the day, everyone who took part in Clean Sweep will get a free ticket to a Red Wings baseball game. Bob Price, Family Life News.
Thanks, Bob. And the Buffalo Sabres are trying to make a clean sweep of the Boston Bruins. They're back on the ice tonight to take another shot at advancing past the Bruins in the Stanley Cup playoffs opening round. Game 6 between the Sabres and Bruins in TD Garden. Buffalo coming off a tough 2-1 overtime home loss Tuesday night, but they still lead the best-of-7 series 3-2 face-off tonight at 7:30. Up next, highlights from today's edition of Capital Connection. Our Bob Price goes in depth with Jason McGuire from New York Families and Dan Bartkowiak at the Pennsylvania Family Institute.
Dan, let's start with you this week. The Pennsylvania House on a party line vote approving the Fairness Act, a measure that would ban discrimination based on sexual orientation or gender identity. You argue there's nothing fair about the Fairness Act. Explain to our audience how this vote developed in Harrisburg and what happens next.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. This was certainly the talk of Harrisburg this week, and it's something we've raised concerns over the years, just with the broad implications, especially with religious liberty. I think one of the striking moments in the debate this week was hearing lawmakers claim about separation of church and state, but then at the same time they were invoking Scripture, and I'd say out of context sometimes, defending a position that really is threatening religious ministries, schools, issues of privacy, fairness, women's private spaces. It has all these implications with this law. So certainly it's an issue people, especially Christians, should be informed and engaged upon. You can learn more at pafamily.org with our organization. But yeah, this was an issue that was moving through fast in the House and certainly need to be aware of it.
Yeah, any chance the Senate takes this up, or will they just say thanks but no thanks?
Well, it seems thankfully there are Senate leadership that understand the real implications of this bill, that it's going to impact schools, it's going to impact women's sports. So thankfully, there is some pushback in the Senate. But again, I think the more engagement we can be with our elected officials on this, because it's been something we've been engaging upon for over a decade, we need to continue that discussion.
All right. Well, hey, it's May 1st, Jason, and that means the state budget is officially a month late. Who blinks first in these ongoing negotiations between the governor and the state legislature? I mean, it's all one-party rule in Albany. The Democrats control everything. So when does this start to hurt the party heading into the midterms?
Well, I don't know that it's going to hurt the party heading into the midterms no matter what happens. The reality is people are very ideologically driven today. So I don't think that's going to happen. But the question is whether or not lawmakers are going to feel the pinch of their pocketbooks. I mean, right now, they have not gotten paid in a month, and people are getting cranky when they don't get their paychecks. So this is a situation to where the governor continues to get paid. She's got the upper hand in this position, and now it's up to the legislature to determine how soon they're going to fold. And I expect that individual members are pressuring their leaders to make a deal because they want to see those paychecks roll again.
Gotcha. Well, hey, we're still talking about that Commonwealth Court decision, Dan, so damaging on Medicaid-funded abortions. Pennsylvania now allowing taxpayer-funded abortions. What happens next? Is there plans to appeal this decision?
Yeah, there's certainly ongoing conversations on the next steps. I would point every listener to be praying for Attorney General Dave Sunday, his team, just for wisdom on the next steps, because we're certainly engaging in that discussion. But yeah, I mean, going to the ruling, it is deeply discouraging. Commonwealth Court, what they are really enshrining into our Constitution, and it's a reminder that elections matter. As I read through the decision, it was made by Judge Matt Wolf, who wrote it, and he was endorsed by Planned Parenthood 2023. So it's again a reminder every election matters. We have a primary election coming up May 19th. But certainly, yes, be praying for Attorney General Sunday and just the wisdom moving forward.
Yeah. Well, Jason, you are arguing on your website this week for the governor to opt the state into a federal tax credit scholarship program. Why do you feel so strongly about this?
Well, we just simply believe that students need greater opportunities in New York. We have largely a failing public education system, and where parents want to give opportunities for their kids to actually graduate, to actually have some hope for their future, that may mean a different educational option than is available in many places in the state. If the governor would allow students in New York to participate in that federal tax credit scholarship program, which was a part of that big, beautiful bill that President Trump likes to talk about, if she will allow students to opt into this, well, that's an opportunity for a whole lot of students in the state that do not have it right now. Yeah. And the good news is we hear that the governor is inclined to do so, but we expect there will be fierce opposition, so voices need to be raised to urge to opt in to that federal tax credit scholarship program.
Would this be something included in the budget negotiations or a separate matter after the budget's decided?
It's probably going to follow the budget negotiations. It does not require the legislature to act. It's simply a signature from the governor. So the governor can do it, and we would trust that she will. Otherwise, those dollars are just simply going to students in other states. That makes no sense for our kids here.
Yeah, indeed. Dan, I know you were troubled last week when the Trump administration reclassified marijuana as a Schedule III drug. He's also providing tax breaks to the marijuana industry. How will this action hurt efforts in Pennsylvania to prevent the commercial sale of cannabis?
Yeah, while Pennsylvania is still considered illegal from a recreational standpoint, and I think our medical program needs a lot of fixing, rescheduling marijuana, it's going to have real consequences. There are billions in tax breaks to the industry, and that's an industry that, frankly, profits off of the more addictive use of their increasingly addictive products. So, we're seeing more kids ending up in ERs, more impaired driving, growing concerns, mental health. What's frustrating is it seems policy decisions like this, there could have been decisions to help from a health standpoint, analyzing the impacts of marijuana use. But yet this is more seeming like it's benefiting the industry and the industry players versus health and safety of citizens. And so really the community is going to be facing the fallout on this.
Thank you, gentlemen. Jason McGuire from New York Families and Dan Bartkowiak at the Pennsylvania Family Institute. Highlights from today's Capital Connection, but that's only the half of it. Why don't you hear the entire feature and all of our Family Life News original features at Apple Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, and FamilyLife.org. This is the 5 o'clock report on Family Life.
Are your financial habits honoring God, even in how you pay others? Hi, I'm Rob West with today's Faith and Finance Minute. In James 5:4, we read a sobering warning. The wages you failed to pay the workers are crying out against you. God hears the cries of those treated unfairly. This isn't just about generosity, it's about integrity. Faithful stewardship shows up in everyday transactions, paying employees on time, compensating fairly, and honoring commitments. It's easy to think worship is what we give on Sunday, but Scripture reminds us it also includes how we handle what we owe on Monday. So whether it's a contractor, a babysitter, or an employee, how we pay matters to God, because our accounts payable aren't just financial, they're spiritual. We can help you learn to manage your money according to biblical principles when you download the free FaithFi app. You'll find it on our website at faithfi.com.
Thanks, Rob. Finally at 5, the inspiring story of young Jude Baker. The 14-year-old Georgia teen has seen a lot already, having just survived a grueling 2-year treatment process for an aggressive form of cancer known as Ewing sarcoma. He tells WXIA,
"It wasn't even like knowing I could die. It was just like the chemo was worse. You know, it hurt."
Impressive enough that he went through all of that, but what really grabbed attention was that when Make-A-Wish approached him, his wish wasn't to go on an exotic trip or meet a celebrity. No, his was to help the homeless people that he saw when traveling to and from the hospital. Emily Campbell with Make-A-Wish.
His only wish was to give back to his community. Jude came up with this all on his own. Never really had a backup wish. This was it. So we were determined to make it happen.
And they did, says Jude.
I want to help others who are in similar situation, their own version, you know. I wanted to help them out because, you know, I was in a bad situation. They were too.
Some kids just want to meet their superhero. Jude Baker became one instead. And that's the world we live in for Friday, May 1st, 2026. Thanks again for joining us. Have a blessed weekend. I'm Mark Webster, Family Life News.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.